I saw the coolest story on the Alabama news this week. A 4-year-old girl who'd been missing for over 48 hours in the woods was found. Vadi, the 4-year-old girl, and her dog go on a walk with her nanny. And she and her dog ran up ahead on the hill, and by the time that the nanny gets to the top of the hill to catch up, Vadi and Lucy, the dog, are completely missing. So Vadi's from Lee County, near Auburn, and her community and her parents, with every hour that passes, are growing more and more concerned because the woods that are near her house are really known for lots of snakes and creeks, which sound kind of fun, but the middle of the night, not a playground for a little kid, right? So people from the community start to volunteer to form a search party, and they are looking everywhere for Vadi. And one group on the third day in the afternoon is walking through the woods, and they start following the sound of a dog barking. And as they get closer, they find Vadi waking up from a nap in the middle of the woods. And here's the crazy thing. Vadi's like pretty much okay. She's not in shock. She's not hurt. She's instantly animated. She's asking lots of curious questions. She can't wait to tell her mom about her adventures with Lucy. Y'all, 3 days, 2 nights, alone in the woods. I'm an adult. I have to have a nightlight in my apartment on at all times. How in the world did Vadi survive that? And I think I needed that story this week, right? There's a lot going on that's not good. And to hear a feel-good story of somebody being found who was lost, I just needed it this week. I've been trying to imagine what it's like to be 4 years old, lost in the woods in the middle of the night. It's dark, it's scary. You have no idea what's creeping around you. You have no idea if anybody's gonna find you, how you're gonna get out of this. And that feeling, I think we all get more than ever now. Things feel dark, they feel unknown. We don't know how we're gonna get out of this, right? And I think the more we find ourselves there, the easier it is to get depressed. Okay, what do I mean by depressed? I think we use that word a lot. I'm not talking about just sadness or fear. Sadness and fear are actually good things. They're good emotions. They're tools in your tool belt that you're given to cope with hard things that happen in life. Depression is more like the hard thing happens and you go, I can't cope. I can't deal with this. This is too big. This is too scary. There's too much unknown. And if I start feeling this, I feel like it's all I'm gonna feel and I'm never gonna stop feeling it, and it's too overwhelming. And so something in you wants to protect, and it just shuts off all your feelings. You don't feel that, but you also start to not feel anything else. I've felt that way before. And there's a guy in the Bible named King David. He was once a king of Israel, who also is known for writing these songs and poems that are called Psalms in the Bible. And I think David had a really good finger on the pulse of his emotions and what was going on in his life. And I think he understood the dark unknown. So we're gonna look at Psalm 23. And a lot of you are probably familiar with this, even if you haven't been around the Bible or church a lot. It's read at a lot of funerals. I've heard teams recite it together kind of as a prayer before a competition. Now, before I read this to you, let me tell you a little bit more about King David. Before he was a king, his childhood job was being a shepherd, so he cared for sheep, right? And what David is gonna do in this poem that I'm gonna read to you is he compares his life and his walk of faith with God to the journey of a sheep and a shepherd. Okay, this is Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. He lets me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. He renews my strength. He guides me along right paths, bringing honor to his name. Even when I walk through the dark valley of death, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me. Your rod and your staff protect and comfort me. You prepare a feast for me in the presence of my enemies. You honor me by anointing my head with oil. Surely goodness and your unfailing love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will live in the house of the Lord forever. Growing up, I had a kid's book that had this poem in it, and I thought the point of the poem was, life is like a nature walk with Jesus. I'm a sheep, I'm a little lamb, Jesus is a shepherd. We're frolicking through a field of wildflowers. We stop and take a nap in the grass by a babbling brook. Maybe Jesus holds out his finger and a bird lands on it like a Disney princess. As an adult reading it, I don't think that that's what David was looking to communicate it, because right in the middle of this story of his life, he says, I walk through a dark valley of death. So think about that. David says, I'm a sheep, and there are times where I feel like I'm walking through a valley that is so dark, it feels like death. For all I know, there could be predators around me on every side. I have no idea when this walk is going to be done. I don't know where I am. And I think to a degree, all of us get that feeling. Because there are places in life that are dark and uncertain, right? Times that feel like death. I mean, open the first 7 headlines on your favorite news website. Things are dark. Think about that feeling of being surrounded by nothing but uncertainty. Am I going to get this virus thing? Is somebody I love going to get it and die? Is my dad going to be able to keep his job? Am I even going to be able to walk and get a diploma at graduation? And it's not just dark, it feels like death. And maybe this is death like I'm afraid of getting sick and dying, or somebody I know getting sick and dying. But maybe it's different than that. Maybe it's the death of a relationship, the death of a friendship. Maybe your valley is the death of the expectations that others have of you, that you start to realize that you are never going to live up to everything that your parents and your friends hope that you will be. Maybe it's the death of a dream. Did you get to the school you wanted to? Are the plans that you have had for your life going the way that you had hoped they would? David's really onto something, I think. Because when it comes to valleys, it seems like we're all in one, we're walking into one, or maybe we're walking out of one. But I don't know if anybody lies outside of those 3 things. I get it. There's a 3-year span around the time that I was in college where I lost 2 of my best friends to pretty big tragedies. I had to move 2 days before I started my junior year of high school to a new town, and it felt like my life was over. I met a man that I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with, and he broke my heart. Let me describe to you how that felt for me. There's a story in the Bible where Jesus' friend Luke talks about a time that Jesus and his friends are on this boat out in the sea, and this huge storm hits. And Jesus' friends are up on the deck, and the storm gets so bad that they look around. Where's Jesus? Jesus is asleep below deck taking a nap. And they run down, they wake him up, and they say, hey, do you even care that we're about to die? I feel like that sometimes. Like, hey God, I don't even know if you're real, but if you are real, do you even care? Because this is killing me. That feeling, that's the valley. That's the darkness. And it is okay to call that valley dark. But please don't stay there. I think that these stories offer us a little bit of light. Here's what's really interesting to me about that poem that we read by David. He divides that poem about life into 2 kind of time settings. There's before the valley and there's after the valley. And before the valley, he's the sheep and he's talking about the shepherd. And he said, he lets me rest in this green grass. He guides me beside these peaceful streams. He guides me in the right paths. He brings honor to his name. And then he says, I walk through this dark valley of death. And I don't fear because you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You are going to anoint my head with oil. You honor me. He stops talking about the shepherd and he starts talking to him. And it seems like there's something about the valley in life where David looks back and he sees the hard times. And it was like God was nearer to him in those moments than any other time. And it's become personal and it's become intimate. It's not he, it is you. Why am I not afraid of this dark valley? Because you are close beside me. What was it? What made the difference? It was the presence of the shepherd. Can that be right? Is that true? Do you know why I think those searchers found Beatty and she was okay? I don't think it's because she had watched lots of episodes of Survivor and knew how to wing it. It's because every second that Beatty was gone, her dog Lucy was by her side. She was never alone. She was never alone in the darkness. She was never alone in the woods. So maybe there's something to this, and I want to come back to the story about Jesus and his friends. So where were we? They run downstairs. Jesus, do you even care that we're about to die? First of all, I hate being woken up suddenly, and I'm always grumpy. So I would be like, are you kidding me? The whole reason I'm on this boat, the whole reason I'm on this earth is because I care. Jesus is cool. He doesn't comment to them. He goes up deck. He speaks to the storm and says, peace, be still. And it's like, Luke says it was like it had never happened. No storm. The sea is glass. And then he said he turned around to his friends and he said, where's your faith? I don't think Jesus was being sarcastic right there. I don't think that he didn't believe that his friends had faith. He knew his friends had faith. Everybody has faith in something. I wonder how long it took them to go down and wake Jesus up, because the storm had gotten really bad. And a lot of these guys on the boat were fishermen in their life before they met Jesus. And so they were probably like, I've been on plenty of boats and plenty of storms. This will totally blow over. Or, even if it doesn't, I'm a good swimmer. Like, I can get out of this. But eventually it got so bad that whatever they thought was going to help them through it was not enough. And they were like, what are we going to do? Jesus is in the boat. I think just like them, we all have faith in something. And I don't know what it is for you. Maybe think of it like this. When the worst of the worst hits, what's the thing that you know is going to get you through? Maybe it's that you're really smart. Maybe it's that your family is really close-knit and there for each other. Maybe it's your best friend. But here's the fact of the matter. When the worst of the worst hits, there are some storms, there are some valleys that are so bad that those things are not going to get you through it. So you have faith, but what is it in? And will it be enough to save you? So here's what I'm not saying. I'm not telling you that if God is your shepherd, you're never going to walk through a valley. Or if you know Jesus, you're never going to face a storm. The point of the story is not that. The point of the story is that when the storms come, Jesus is in the boat with you. That when you walk through the valley, the one that is leading you is a good shepherd. So what if these valleys aren't pointless? What if they are a wake-up call for you to realize that maybe everything you thought would get you through, that you could fight your way through this, is not going to be enough? And what if it's an invitation for you to place your faith in Jesus, who's the only person that will never fail you, will never let you down, will never leave you?